18. So this is the oldest permanent expression in the Jameson range.
That's still the case, is it? There's the highest age thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do have much older age statements in different families. So for the likes of Redbreast, we've got a 21 and a 27 in permanent expression. This is available in two varieties. So there's the classic 18-year-old, which is bottled at 40%, which is we're about to taste, and there is also a Bow Street edition, which is distilled and mostly matured in Middleton, but actually finished the maturation process in Bow Street, and it's bottled at cask strength. So you know, for the cask strength lovers, you can get it there. This is 18 because it is lunchtime, and I didn't want to be drinking cask strength whiskey before 5 p.m.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
And it smells wonderful. It's got a lovely dustiness to it, which
it sounds like a cop out when you have a whiskey like this, but it smells older.
It does.
You know, it does have that like. Yeah, as you say, dusty, like old paper or something. You get a little bit of that.
Yeah, I was going to say old cardboard, sawdust, that kind of.
The fruit element is so delicate, but it's starting to come across now. I'm getting like a little bit of maybe like apricot, like dried apricot or something.
Peach aromas coming.
Yeah, like sweet fruit. You know, I'm not getting as much of the dried fruit maybe that I was getting on some of the previous ones. It's a little bit more.
So the maturation, is this just bourbon casks or mixed?
Bourbon and sherry. Yeah, so bourbon and sherry casks. But just a bit juicier, the fruit on the nose, I think.
And it's still a blend of pot still and grain.
Yes, pot still and grain, bourbon and sherry. So that's the kind of classic DNA for Jameson. So I can only sip it for so long. I can't taste it now. It's got a bit of there's quite a bit of tannin initially, you know, which maybe has just come from being a little bit older, quite a bit older, I suppose, than the previous ones.
A wee bit of oak spice there coming through at the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, quite a different texture. I find this more sort of oily, as opposed to the previous ones, which would say were a bit more chewy and a bit more sort of thick. I guess this is like a slightly more waxy and oily.
It's funny. I love when people talk about the different families of whiskies from Middleton. You know, people do generally say likes of Redbreast generally seems to be the rich and creamy. Powers tends to be some people say the waxy or fatty, and then the likes of the Swats, particularly the older varieties of Green Spot, oily is always the texture that people use. But like when you actually taste them, I totally know. I'm like, I understand what you mean by calling it that. But yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's just. Yeah, it does kind of stick to the palate a wee bit. Lots of fruit I'm getting on it. Yeah, I find it to be just juicy. It almost makes your mouth water slightly. You know, you get that little bit of like, not quite acidity, but that's almost a similar sensation where the sides of your mouth just start to kind of salivate a little bit.
No, you're right. It reminds me a little bit of remember juicy fruit. You probably still get it. Juicy fruit.
Yeah, chewing gum. Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. Yeah. Hope you can still get it. It's a classic chewing gum.
Yeah. Hopefully. No, I mean, I thought they were fantastic. I always like to sort of pin down a favourite of the lineup, but I always say, on a different occasion, it'll be a completely different flavour of that, I'm sure. But I think I love the 18 years. I thought that was fantastic. I can see myself just sort of topping up the glass as well.
Dangerously drinkable.
I think the slightly higher ABV of the Devil's Ladder made it extra layers of complexity for me this lunchtime.
I'd probably get told off for picking favourites because I work for them. Well, I probably would, but I actually think Devil's Ladder was my preference as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Possibly also because I think it was so different to any of the other ones. Like Jameson. The 18, even the likes of the Gold and Crested. Like the components are similar. You've got bourbon, you've got sherry, you've got pot still, you've got grain. But I just think the inclusion of those Belgian triple casks changed it quite a lot.
sort of a little surprise in there that I think that's always good when you're trying to whiskey. Maybe you have a perception of what you're going to expect from it, and then it surprises you. So that's always good.
Absolutely, no.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up another bottle of that, I think, when I can.
Yes, good stuff. Well, I think we'll leave it there. And so if you've been watching this, thanks for joining us. Again, any questions that you have for Joe, find him over on Insta and